Jayson Tatum has been unfairly criticized throughout his career, leading many to ask the question, why? And the answer is more simple than you would think. It's because of the green. Jayson Tatum is a Celtic through and through. He was drafted by the franchise with the 3rd overall pick nearly a decade ago, and since then, he's spent his time building a legacy in Boston. And if you know anything about the Celtics, it's that they're one of the most storied franchises in the NBA. 19 Hall of Famers, 18 championships, and 10 MVP awards. If there's one thing all Celtic legends have in common, it's that they tend to be vilified. Bill Russell, Larry Bird, Paul Pierce, and now Jayson Tatum. Each of these guys have had moments in their careers where they were painted as antagonists of the league. Whether it be Bill vs. Walt, Magic vs. Bird, Pierce vs. Kobe, history continues to repeat itself, and Jayson Tatum has found himself as the next victim of this endless cycle. But that doesn't mean that there aren't more factors at play here. His off-the-court personality isn't really doing him any favors. He comes across as corny to many, like he's trying too hard. And there's this constant lack of accountability, as he seems to be shifting the blame onto everyone but himself. Then there's also this weird attachment to Kobe, like when he was making a playoff run a few years ago, decided to text Kobe Bryant's number, take a picture of him sending a text, send that to ESPN for them to post about it, even though Kobe was already dead. Or when he was trying to force an iconic moment right after he won his first championship last season. But even then, I don't think that what Tatum does is even all that bad. The reason he gets talked about so much is because of the name on his back and the logo on his chest. For example, before his first championship with the Boston Celtics, he was heavily criticized for his inability to show up in the clutch. And you'd think that narrative would die out the moment the Celtics won it all last year. But no, you'd be mistaken. Instead, he was getting flamed for not winning Finals MVP, with the award going to his co-star, Jaylen Brown. And this allowed for a new narrative to be built by the media, which was that not only was Jayson Tatum getting carried by all the all-stars surrounding him, but that the team didn't need him to win. And at that point, a line needs to be drawn somewhere, because it's getting ridiculous. The NBA is going to need new faces to rise when LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry eventually retire in the next 2 to 3 years. And who better to take over that mantle than a guy who plays for the most storied franchise in the NBA, is reaching his prime, will have multiple championships by then, and may even have an MVP here or there. Jayson Tatum is in perfect position to be the next face of the NBA, and yet no one seems to be taking him seriously. No one even seems to be respecting him other than his peers. The national media is constantly taking shots at the dude, not only at Jayson Tatum, but the Celtics in general. If you turn on ESPN, SportsCenter, and they somehow happen to have a segment talking about the Boston Celtics, it's probably negatively, and fans online aren't any kinder, which is insane because, again, we're talking about the reigning champions here. They didn't lose a key piece in free agency. They haven't suffered a major injury to the team. They're 25 games over 500 with the 3rd best record in the NBA. So why is anybody doubting them? Because in all reality, they're going to come out of the Eastern Conference. Sure, the Cavaliers look great in the regular season, but how will they hold up against the Celtics in a 7-game series? They're gonna lose. Which is the most mild take of all time. And I know that these two teams did play against each other recently, where the Celtics got off to a 25-3 lead to start the game, and you had Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown talking their shit, only to slowly lose that lead throughout the entirety of the game and end up selling. I know that that happened, but the Celtics lost that game by a few points without Kristaps Porzingis and with no Drew Holiday, 2 all-star caliber players. I promise you, Jayson Tatum isn't letting that kind of lead slip through his fingers in TD Garden during the playoffs. That's just not who he is. This is just another regular season game where the Celtics were missing a few starters. If they had their full team, which I'm sure they're going to have in the playoffs, the Cavaliers don't stand a chance. I think it's probably going to be a 5-game series. They shouldn't even be in the conversation. What you should be doing is looking to the West to see who can dethrone the Celtics. And I'm telling you right now, while Shea looks great and may even be MVP, he isn't winning a championship this year. The team is far too inexperienced. They haven't proven themselves at all in the playoffs. So what makes you think they're going to go on a finals run here? Couldn't tell you. Then you've got Luka and the Lakers, and yeah, those two guys, LeBron and Luka, are fantastic. A great duo, greatest duo of all time. Doesn't matter, because down low they have Jackson Hayes and Trey Jemison, maybe Alex Len, a bunch of garbage. No one is going to be able to stop Kristaps Porzingis. And if you want to double team them, well then you got Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Drew Holiday to worry about. So I think that the Lakers could easily be dismantled by a team like the Boston Celtics. And don't even get me started on the Grizzlies or the Rockets. Yeah, nobody stands a chance against the reigning champs. So the fact that they're constantly disrespected along with their star Jayson Tatum is a bit ridiculous. I feel as though this is just conversation to make throughout the regular season, because everybody knows who you have to go through to bring home the Larry O'Brien. It's the anomaly. Player A, 6-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA, and 1-time champion, Jayson Tatum. A man who's averaging 27 points per night on one of the best teams in the NBA while having a career-high 8.8 rebounds and 5.8 assists per game with a 1.1 steals and 45% from the field. If you're going to want to have a chance at winning the championship this year, you're going to have to go through Jayson Tatum, and I just don't know how many stars are up to the task. I'm telling you right now, it's not Donovan Mitchell, it's not Jalen Brunson, and it isn't Giannis, which means the East is pretty clear for the Boston Celtics. And I'll talk more about the team and Tatum in a second, but for right now, I just wanted to remind you guys to slow down, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. Every subscription is greatly appreciated, goes a long way, and we're on the road to 10,000, so please subscribe. But let's get back to talking about Jayson Tatum here, because I'm not done trying to understand where all this hate for Jayson Tatum is coming from. It's gotten so bad that recently when a reporter asked Tatum if he feels as though he's been given enough credit for what he's done for this league, his reply was about as straightforward as it gets. Jayson Tatum said, "Honestly, no. If you took the name and the face away from all of my accomplishments and you're just like, this is what player A accomplished at 26, people would talk about me a lot differently." And there's nothing wrong with this statement that he made. I believe that Jayson Tatum is telling the truth here. If you took everything he's done throughout his career, his 8 years with the Boston Celtics, and you just erase the name and the team attached to it, you would consider this guy a generational star, someone who's lived up to the hype. And yet, it's Tatum. And when people think of Tatum, that's not what goes to their mind. Colin Cowherd said it best himself.
Let's close our eyes. Close our eyes. Think about Magic Johnson. You can see the smile. Think about Michael. You can see that cocky grin. Think about LeBron. You can see the imagery. Pre-game, chalk. You can close your eyes and there's images with stars. Close your eyes now and do it with Tatum. I don't see anything. 26 a night? I don't see anything.
Now, I don't agree with what Cowherd said. However, I do think that is how other people see Jayson Tatum. And that's one of the major reasons as to why he's so hated. Because he's not being perceived in the way that he should. We should take in the greatness that Jayson Tatum has and what he's provided to the game. He's helped push the game forward. Whether you like to acknowledge it or not, Jayson Tatum has been good for this league. And if it means that he has to play the antagonist, then let him thrive in that role. Because he's not done winning yet. Whether people like it or not, Jayson Tatum is going to be getting more rings, and he will be coming for an MVP. But anyway, I think I've covered everything I've wanted to in this video, so I'll catch y'all later. Much love. Deuces.